Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take the Holystone HS710 up for its test flight. This is a little sub 250 grams. They rated around 240. My scale came closer to 250. Little foldable brushless GPS drone. Has a 4K camera here on the front, but it's not stabilized, so it is dampened. So we hopefully can still get some decent video with it. But I really think this could be a good photo picture drone. Has optical flow as well. So we're going to take it up and we'll fly it around and see how this guy flies. I'm going to go ahead and open the arms so you can see it fully folded out. I just wanted to start out by showing you guys the drone all folded up. Nice and lightweight. Ought to be a fun little flyer, I think. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to, I'll stop the video and I want to get it all synced up and get it all ready to go so we can just get it right up in the air. Before I do that really quickly it does take an SD card right here. I had some trouble with that. They say the max capacity is 32 gigs, but I have a 64 gig in there and it worked fine. But I tried some other cards and it looked like it was functioning when I was testing it out indoors, just to see if I could get, it's always a good idea to test these SD cards out just to make sure everything's working before your first flight. And it would come up empty, or I would say it needed formatted and all different stuff. So finally I got this 64 gig. This is a SanDisk. Let me pop it out here and see. It's a SanDisk Extreme 64 gig card. So we know that works. A 32 gig for them ought to work as well, but it just seemed finicky about what SD card you put in it. All right, guys, that's enough about the SD card. Let's go ahead and get this thing connected to the Wi-Fi and get it up into the air. So I'll be right back. Okay, guys, so I have everything connected. So let's get it up in the air and see how this guy does. I got a screen recording going, so we should be able to see all the app functions and everything. What you want to do is go into the gear and make sure that you can switch to Imperial mode, make sure beginner mode's off, and it looks like you usually have to increase these. Like I want my flight distance and my altitude all the way up. Turn to home's fine at 49 feet. Orbit mode says 16. And then you can see there's some other options. We'll do the compass calibration here in a moment. Let's go ahead and exit out of that and say confirm. That way we send those changes to the drone. I did that indoors, so it looks like every flight you have to set that all the way up, which is really unfortunate. It doesn't save it. Let's go to the calibration and let's press start. It says both sticks down to the right. We'll do it as well, but I never had any luck doing that. But the little compass symbol is flashing here. So I'm gonna set down the controller. And what you do is there's some flashing yellow lights here on the front. You just rotate it level and they should go green in a moment. I think they'll go solid green. Now they're green. Now you can go face up or nose down and rotate 3 times and we should be good to go. And it looks like we are. And you'll know that when the compass flashing disappears from the controller. So what we're going to do now is let's start recording some video. That's going to be a long press on this upper left bumper here. That's your photo. You've also got your rates over here. I went over this in the table review, but I don't think I mentioned there's a GPS altitude hold switch here. But let's go ahead and see. I think this one right here, we get a long press. And we got a flashing camera symbol and the app shows us recording. One of the things you can record in, if you go into the, let's see, the camera options here. It won't let us do it because we're recording, but you can switch between 4K and 2.5K, and there's some camera settings in there. Let's go ahead and let's actually stop the video, and I see if I can show you those real quick, and we'll start them back up. We're at 4K, and then there's also some settings here for the camera, which I believe, I don't know if that's good for video and photo or not, but under there you got your 2.5 and your 4K. 4K is gonna be a pretty low frame rate, so it may not sync well with this video. 2.5 you'd think would be a higher frame rate, but I can't say for certain. So let's go ahead and hold that down again. And now we're recording the video again. And let's do the unlock and auto takeoff. And let's make sure that we don't toilet bowl or anything. There is a pretty good wind at my back. That's why I'm facing this direction, so we don't have a ton of wind, mic noise. You see it's dancing a little bit because it's fighting that wind, but it looks like it's doing a pretty good job. Now there's a couple of rates, and you hold down long press. Let's see. And that is the higher rate, but the yaw looks like it's the same. Yeah. I just want to do some circle to test. So I'm gonna hold that down and go back to the higher rate because of this wind. The first thing I wanted to actually do though is I wanted to get some photos. So even though out of habit I started recording some video, let's just take a little video here while we got it going. And then we'll land it in, we could probably just stop it when I'm in the air. It doesn't have to land it, but get some photos, because photos are what I really want to test out, because this is gonna wobble. Let's rotate the camera down. There we are. Hey guys. Again, this may not be in sync at times because of the low frame rate at 4K. 4K is a lot to process, and on these drones at this price point, it's gonna be tough to get a high frame rate. So yeah, there's gonna be some wobble, so that's what I expected. Boy, it seems to fly great though. I figured it would fly pretty good. At this weight, you know, it's not a really heavy drone. Well, it flies really good, really nice. Really, really like the way it flies. It's unfortunate that camera is not stabilized. So what I want to do now is I'm going to stop the video and I want to take some photos off in this direction here. Don't always get the cemetery over there. It's not the most pleasant thing to take photos of. So I'm going to go ahead and do a long press and stop the video. And that video may have, you know, stopped some of the point again because I feel like it's going to not sync up well. Now let's see, because photos shouldn't have any wobble or anything. I mean, whatever that, obviously it's still, but photos, they don't tend to have any kind of jello or anything. You have to have a whole bunch of movement to make a blur in a drone like this. I'm going to raise the camera up just a little bit. Let's see, I went the wrong direction. And let's do a short press for a photo. All right, and let's move off this way and do another one. Let's rotate all the way around here and look off this direction. I don't think I ever take any photos off this way. You can see there's a lot of wobble. But I expected that. But I'm not necessarily any jello, and that's a good thing. Let's bring it down here. This lightweight, this thing ought to fly pretty long. I'm just gonna land it and start some video up again. That way I can, it makes it easier to sync. I'm gonna do auto landing. This flies really, really, I mean, it flies really nice. Close to the pad, I was just, you know, it's a manual landing there, so it wasn't any kind of accuracy. Let's move it back on the helipad. That way when we do a return to home, we can see how accurate that is. So we still got the screen recording going. Let's go ahead and long press and start that video again. And we should be going, and we are. Let's unlock the props. We'll just do a manual takeoff by just giving it some throttle. So I always like to do is I like to do a return to home accuracy test. So let's see, we're just gonna fly it up here, fly it out. We are out, and nice thing is we are in metric, excuse me, imperial, not metric. Let's go up, up, up. Don't want to hit those trees. Oh, we're out. I had a nice FPV feed here. We're up about 100 feet, and I'm out. It says almost 700 feet. I think that seems believable. Well, this is working. I'm getting really good FPV feed here. I would expect to drop off by now. Out over 1,000 feet. Now it's starting to break up. That's not bad at 1,150 feet. Let's do a return to home. And I pressed it, and the symbol came up, so it should turn around. That it's possible it may fly backwards. It looks like that's what it's doing. Some drones will rotate around and fly back. Others will just fly backwards, and that's what it looks like it's doing here. We're up 141 feet, so we should be fine of any obstructions. And we're coming back, and we'll see it here in a moment. Again, I'm doing it off this direction to get tired of flying over the cemetery, and keeps the wind to my back. So trying to locate it, it's fighting that wind, so it's making it a little slower, but it is definitely coming back. We're at under 400 feet now. I'm listening for it. Should be coming into view, and there it is. Here it comes. It looks like it's overshot it, I think, but sometimes that's difficult to tell whenever you're doing this stuff. It sometimes can be difficult. It looks like it's overshot, and it's just your perception of looking up. Well, I tell you, the older I get, the more I look up, the more dizzy I get. So let's see how this does on return home. It looks like it shows on the controller that we have still 3/4 of battery. So I don't remember the capacity on that battery. That was all discussed in the table review. So be sure to check back to the table review if you want to see what all comes with this drone. The capacity of the battery and all that good stuff. Oh, that was really good. That's a really good. You can't expect these drones to land right on top of it without some sort of vision system on the bottom that looks for return to home accuracy, like a DJI or an Autel, or I think, you know, FIMI and Hubsan have those too, but on these drones they don't. Yes, it has an optical flow camera that's low resolution, but it doesn't mean it only uses that to try to hold position if it loses GPS lock. All right, let's see. We still got video recording. Let's just keep doing that. Let's see. Can we manually unlock the props? No. So you got to use the unlock button. And let's just go ahead and do the auto takeoff again. Let's see if I can figure out here how to do like a circle mode or a follow me mode or something like that. I think it's going to be up here in these modes in the little button here. And there is follow me. It's got headless mode, which is pretty useless. And orbit. So let's just press that. And let's see. We'll keep pointing at me. So let's move it around at me here. Make sure we rotated the camera down some. And let's back it up some. And let's just slide it and see if it'll start following me. It should rotate on this yaw axis right now, and it looks like it is. And then as I get farther away, it ought to start following me. And it's supposed to keep the camera facing towards me, because obviously you don't want a drone that's facing away while it's filming. That would be pretty pointless. Obviously I'm walking pretty slow here as I'm trying to keep the wind in my back. Well, let's see if it actually starts moving. I think it is. Yeah, it's following me. I'm walking backwards, so I'm not going very quickly, but yeah, follow. Let's go this way and see if it continues to yaw. It's moved over. See, is it gonna? There's quite a bit of sun glare there, guys. So if I start looking up there, you're just gonna see nothing but the sun. Yeah, that seems to be working well. Let's go back this way and make sure that it yaws. Well, now let's see if it's gonna go over here and turn. Let's see what it does, because it's lost me. Let's see if it turns. I think it is. I think it got too close to me. Let's see. Well, now I'm in view. It's taking it some time, but yeah, it's correcting. Yeah, follow me works pretty good. As you can see, it lost me there for a moment. It got a bit too close, but it's corrected itself, you know. If you're using this, you could always just edit that little bit out. You know, for a toyish class drone, which this is sort of on the fringe between toy and hobby grade, this one seems to work pretty good on that. Let's just press that again to cancel it. That's the only way I know how to do it. You just go back to that mode, press the mode again, and that'll cancel it. And let's see if circle me mode works, or point of interest, or whatever they want to call it. I'm going to take it up a little higher here. Whoa. I think I got caught up in the wind. I don't want it that far away. So in those settings up here, you can set that. See if it'll let me in. Oh, in flight. I don't know why it's saying that. Is it still trying to follow me? Huh. Oh, you can't change the parameters when you're off the ground. That's what it means. I had set that circle me mode to a certain specific You know, I left it, I think, at default or something, but let's go to orbit flight. It'll rotate clockwise as per setting, and default was 16 feet away. So let's just see how this works. Will it start rotating? Yeah, that's pretty simple. It's just gonna do a circle, start in a circle here from the spot that it starts at. So you don't have to do any setting of it. You don't have to go mark your center. Some of that stuff can be kind of confusing. Yeah, that's a really nice, stable circle. Really nice. And that gives us a good chance to see it not up high. We can really test it here to make sure that it looks like it's doing a nice circle. Let's go into that and let's cancel it. All right, we got a lot of video recording, and I gotta tell you what, I'm darn impressed with this thing. Now, I can't say I'm impressed with the camera, but I knew the camera was not going to be anything special. But it flies great, it's lightweight. Seems to have a long flight time too. I mean, we've been flying for quite a while now. And it shows it's still 3/4 of a battery on the controller. And that's fighting some wind. But it flies really, really good. And we've tested all the features on it. I don't think, it doesn't mention in here that it has waypoints. And that's actually fine by me. You don't usually use waypoints on these drones at this price. You want a more expensive drone if you're gonna be using waypoints. So, circling mode works great. Following mode works really well. Not perfect, but pretty darn good. Return to home was very accurate. Very accurate. Yeah, this is super. I can tell you what, when I review these GPS drones, I usually end up running out of time. I usually end up running out of battery, and I maybe get a return to home and circle me, or I'm in the middle of testing out one of the other smart features, intelligent flight features, and I run out of battery. Well, this one's still got 3/4 of a battery, and I've tested everything. That is super, super good news. You just don't see that. And that's a combination of the lightweight, a decent battery capacity, and just it flies. I mean, it's just, this is a winner in terms of flight. I gotta say, the only thing I encountered a problem with was for the SD card, and it seemed to be working okay. Hopefully, crossing fingers, we have plenty of video here. But speaking of which, I'm just gonna go ahead and stop recording video. That way, you always wanna make sure you stop so there's no chance of getting corrupted video. I'm just having some fun flying this around by line of sight. I mean, this is a really nice flyer. Good power and pitch and speed. And I had, as you guys saw, I got really good FPV distance on a Wi-Fi drone like this. So it was well over 1,000 feet. And you know, sometimes these drones, it's not uncommon for them to greatly exaggerate in the app and the control of the distance. But I believe that was accurate. I was all the way out past the road, and I mean, I was out, that's, you know, 1/5 of a mile. That's absolutely accurate. That was accurate. That's more than, you know, typically you're gonna probably get 600-700 feet, about half that maybe. And then lots of times I'll start to break up. I was starting to see some break up there. I don't know, what was that, 1,200-1,400 feet? I mean, it was out there a ways. I was very impressed. So honestly, there's really nothing about this drone to complain about except for the lack of stabilization, and we knew that going in. That's not something that, you know, they said, hey, this is gonna do this, and it doesn't. So let's go ahead and do an auto landing, and we'll wrap this up. There's no reason to keep flying around, but I've still got, according to the battery meter here, I've still got 3/4 battery. Let's make sure it lands here, and it's trying to sense the edge of the helipad. Yeah, this is super, guys. Very, very impressed with this drone. Yeah, this is definitely a very good lightweight drone. You can see I got 3 out of 4 lights. This thing can have a ton of flight time. I think they advertised it at 23 minutes. Well, gosh, how long was I flying that? I feel like we might exceed that, and if that were the case, That's unheard of. Now, sometimes these batteries will all of a sudden drop, and it could be that it hits half, and all of a sudden, really quickly, you're at 1/4, and that's possible. But I honestly have nothing to complain about. If you can get this at the right price, I highly would recommend it. Though you're always better off going with something like the DJI Mini 2, or even the FIMI X8 SE, the Mini, the FIMI X8 Mini. The DJI Mini SE is going to still beat this out. Really, only things it's going to do is it's going to have better FPV range still than this. But it's got a gimbal, so it's going to have all nice stable video. That one runs around 300. I think this one's around $100 cheaper, I believe. I have a coupon I'll include with it. So if you're on a tight budget, this isn't a bad one, as long as you're okay with it being more of a photo drone and you're not worried if you don't need stabilized video. If you need stabilized video, you still want to pass on this one. You know, I can't recommend this over something by DJI. But if you're on a budget, this one might be a good choice for you. All right, guys, that wraps up the review of the Holystone HS710. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. And while you're at it, click that bell. That way you're notified every time I upload a new video. And as always, guys, have a wonderful day.
The power of the dark side.